Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Jennifer Lindgren. The future of an historic landmark in Elmira is still not known after fire heavily damaged the property. These are pictures from Monday night when the Lindenwald house on Grand Central Avenue caught fire. The house dates back to the 1800s and was used for all types of things over the generations. The current Lindenwald website says the house has 12 suite apartments inside for rent. No word yet on what started the fire. The funeral was held today for one of the two Pennsylvania state troopers killed by an alleged drunk driver. Trooper Martin Mack was laid to rest Thursday after a police procession and church ceremony in Levittown. Trooper Mack and Trooper Brandon Siska were trying to help a pedestrian on a highway when they were struck and killed. The pedestrian also died. Siska's funeral is scheduled for Saturday. The female driver is facing several charges in connection to the deadly crash, including third-degree murder and driving under the influence. New York City police are looking for the man they say tried to stab a security guard with a hypodermic needle. Here's surveillance video released by police from the scene. They say the man seen here was caught shoplifting. He was stopped by a security guard as he tried to leave the store. The two men scuffled, and that's when the alleged thief pulled out a needle and tried to stab the guard. The man eventually fled, and the victim declined any medical attention. Hormel Foods has announced a limited recall of its Skippy peanut butter due to possible metal shavings in the jars. The company announced the recall of over 9,000 cases of Skippy peanut butter today, saying some jars may contain a small fragment of stainless steel from a piece of manufacturing equipment. The products were sold in over 18 states, including New York. They all carry best if used by dates between May 4th, 2023 and May 10th, 2023. Students from Elmira High School took a freezing plunge for a good cause. They took part in this year's Ithaca Polar Plunge to support the Special Olympics programs in New York. By participating in the event, they raised over $2,000 to support inclusion programs for individuals with neurodiversities. After more than 2 years, the CDC has lifted its travel warning for cruise ships. Almost all cruise lines still require a passenger to be vaccinated before coming on board. But after 2 years of shifting advisories, lawsuits, and criticism from industry leaders, a COVID cruise travel warning has been lifted. The CDC is recommending all future cruise passengers wear masks, get vaccinated, wash their hands, and take other precautions before boarding a ship. There's a lot happening in the COVID world this week. The second booster shot got the green light on Tuesday, and COVID-19 infection rates are increasing in some states. Jonathan Sari has the latest from Atlanta.
The FDA and the CDC have cleared the way for anyone 50 and older or immunocompromised to get the second booster shot. Folks can now get a dose of either Pfizer or Moderna if it's been at least 4 months since their last vaccine dose. The U.S. is still lagging behind many other countries in vaccination. Only about 65% of Americans have received initial shots, and less than 1/3 have had their first booster shot. In states like California, some people were more than ready to roll up their sleeves.
I personally was not worried for myself. I'm more concerned about my 4-year-old and my parents. But at the end of the day, to me, it's not a big deal to get a shot if it protects the people in my life and the people around me.
The announcement comes as infections are edging upward again in several states. A more contagious strain of the Omicron variant, known as BA2, is spreading through the United States. As the number of cases rises, there is concern the U.S. may soon run out of COVID money. Without more funding, the country could start to run out by the end of May, according to President Biden. He's urging Congress to pass a multi-billion-dollar bill to pay for another round of vaccines, medicines, and tests.
Congress has to provide the funding America needs to continue to fight COVID-19.
When it comes to replenishing COVID response funding, we simply can't afford to kick the can down the road.
The Senate will take a procedural vote for the standalone COVID funding bill today. The bill needs 60 yeas to launch a debate. In Atlanta, Jonathan Sari, Fox News.
Moscow is firing back at U.S. officials for reporting that President Putin has been in the dark about his military struggles in Ukraine. This comes as the Ukrainians' fierce defense appears to be forcing Russia to shift its focus to the contested Donbas region in the east. Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
Neither the State Department nor the Pentagon possess the real information about what is happening in the Kremlin.
Moscow is sounding off, frustrated over U.S. intelligence that President Putin has been misled by his own advisors about his military's losses in Ukraine. They're shooting down reports that they have not been transparent.
This complete lack of understanding leads to erroneous decisions, reckless decisions that could have very bad consequences.
U.S. officials estimate 7,000 to 15,000 Russians have been killed so far. British officials are also citing new intelligence showing that Russian soldiers are struggling.
We've seen Russian soldiers, short of weapons and morale, refusing to carry out orders, sabotaging their own equipment, and even accidentally shooting down their own aircraft.
Now all eyes are on Mariupol to see if Russian forces will follow through with a ceasefire to let people evacuate. The city has been battered with attacks for weeks, civilians unable to flee.
It was such hell. I can't express it. Anything you can imagine was flying through our house and past it.
But NATO says Russia must be judged by what they do and not what they say.
We see continued shelling of cities, and we see that Russia are repositioning some of their troops.
Meanwhile, President Putin wants to draft more than 134,000 new soldiers into the army, claiming they won't participate in the war. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
President Biden says his decision to have up to 180 million barrels of oil released from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is already causing energy prices to decrease. The release of the oil at a rate of 1 million barrels per day is being called unprecedented. It will be made available over the next several months. The reserve is the most extensive supply of energy crude oil in the world, with millions of gallons of oil stored in barrels in locations along the Gulf Coast. And this will be the largest release from the reserve since it was created almost 50 years ago. Meteorologist Todd Nelson is in next with our complete forecast. Plus, we're learning more about Bruce Willis's decision to step away from acting as he battles an illness. Stay with us.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Thanks again for checking in as we take a look at your local forecast. And how about the line of thunderstorms that developed through the day? You can actually see that a little more intense down to the south, central and eastern parts of Pennsylvania and southeastern New York, actually getting in on some strong to severe thunderstorms. But they kind of skipped over the Elmira Corning area without any major incident. Temperatures will continue to fall through the 40s as we head through the rest of the night. Again, still a few showers, maybe a clap of thunder, but the strong to severe thunderstorm threat has pretty much faded across our area. 38 for the morning low. That'll be 10 degrees above the average. 6:49 is our sunrise, and then sunset is at 7:32 with our high only warming up to 41 degrees. So we're not going to have too much warming through the day. A few degrees starting at 38, topping out at 41, 10 degrees below the average as I mentioned. So showers and thunderstorms end with some lingering showers into Friday, and it will be much cooler enough to where there could be a light rain snow mix in a few communities. Sunshine returns on your Saturday with another mix possible Saturday night into Sunday. So we're still going to be a little unsettled here as we take you through the next few days. But look at this, getting into your Friday morning. Bit of a rain snow mix. I think we are going to have some minor accumulations a little bit farther north and west, also into the higher elevations, but there's a look at that snowfall forecast. Again, better chance off to the north and west of us. Looking at the snowfall accumulations close to home, we'll be lucky to really see anything accumulate in Elmira and Corning, but Ithaca, maybe a light coating, as well as Wayland And again, maybe some off to the west as well. So 38 degrees tonight. That'll be the morning low. Any isolated thunderstorms generally pretty much done. Kind of shifting off to the east. So again, waking up to temps that'll be about 10 degrees above the average. Here are the winds starting off fairly light, but as that storm system pulls away, we will start to get in on some of those gusty winds. You'll notice that already by midday and then into the afternoon and evening, some 25 to near 30 mile per hour winds. Keeping our temperatures much cooler as we only top out at 41 in Elmira Corning. That'll be 10 degrees below the average. Off to the west, we may see some upper 30s for highs only. Binghamton at 44 degrees. Saturday, sunshine returns. It will be warmer. It'll feel nicer for your second day of April. Elmira will be at 53, Corning at 52. And then Sunday, again, a little bit of a cooler trend here as we have additional rain and snow chances pushing through the region. I don't think we'll have much in terms of additional accumulations, but it will be, again, kind of a sun and cloud mix heading into the next few days. Monday's looking a little bit drier and then turning more unsettled as another storm system pushes through midweek next week. And then by Thursday and Friday, I think temperatures will be back down into the upper 40s and lower 50s. So a little unsettled now for the next few days, but we'll, of course, keep you up to date.
New data on spending, a key inflation gauge, sets a 40-year high, and a driverless car company expands its self-driving taxi service. Cheryl Casoni has these stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
The latest numbers on personal income and spending from the Commerce Department show Americans opening up their wallets a little bit more last month. Personal spending was up 0.2%, still less than expected. And an inflation gauge closely monitored by the Federal Reserve surged 5.4% in February. That's the fastest pace since 1982. Meanwhile, a survey finds consumers in China, the world's second largest economy, are becoming more cautious with their money than they were near the start of the pandemic. The survey from the People's Bank of China finding more people there wanted to save in the first 3 months of this year, a rise to 54.7%, and the most on record since 2002. In the U.S., the average price for a gallon of gasoline slipping on Thursday to $4.22. That's according to the latest numbers from AAA. The price on Wednesday was $4.23. The previous record high was $4.33. That was set on Friday, March 11th. And Waymo, Alphabet's self-driving unit, says it's going to start offering rides in its fully electric and autonomous vehicles in San Francisco and downtown Phoenix. It will start by offering the trips to employees with the goal of opening it up to members of the public via its trusted tester program soon after. Waymo has been testing the driverless taxi service outside the Phoenix metropolitan area since 2020. Reps say these important steps will help bring us closer to our mission of making it safer and easier for people and things to get where they are going. Well, for more stories, log on to foxbusiness.com. In New York, I'm Cheryl Casoni.
Technology is vital in today's world, but semiconductor chips are vital for that technology to function. Still, a global microchip shortage is leading to fewer goods being made and causing their prices to rise. Marianne Rafferty has more on the possible solutions that could help you save money.
You may not be so familiar with semiconductors, often referred to as microchips, but they're a critical component to efficiently powering countless objects we use every day. And without them, cell phones, computers, cars, washing machines, and more can't function. Plants that manufacture semiconductors and the materials necessary to make them have been upended by pandemic restrictions, which have created worker and supply shortages, resulting in fewer chips being made over the last 2 years, straining electronic and automotive companies because they have fewer products to sell, causing their prices to skyrocket. But simply ramping up semiconductor production isn't easy because the process to make them is intensive.
1,000 process steps long, 90 days to create the fully featured semiconductors that we sell.
U.S. semiconductor manufacturing has also taken a nosedive over the last 2 decades, creating a large dependence on foreign-made parts.
It used to be, in the 90s, that the U.S. manufactured 37% of the world's chips. Today it's down to 12%.
But that could change. The Senate on Monday approved a bill that would invest $52 billion in semiconductor manufacturing and research here in the U.S. The House will now mull over whether to pass it or amend it.
A survey reveals some of us are running out of cash before payday. Salary Finance, an employee benefit and money management company, says in a survey that 20% of American workers run out of their money in between paychecks. That's up from 15% last year. Meeting daily expenses is harder for 1/4 of workers, and 1/3 say they're unable to build savings. More than 3/4 said inflation has impacted their finances. The survey also indicated lower earners spend a larger portion of their money on transportation, food, and energy. Worker burnout. As companies return to the office, employees are taking on the workloads of those who took part in the Great Resignation. Cheryl Casoni takes a look at what employers need to do to win them back.
Overworked and exhausted. A new study finds nearly 40% of workers feel burned out by their jobs, with 35% of men and 42% of women saying they are running on empty while on the job. While millions of employees are quitting on principle and for pay increases, millions more are being spread thin at jobs they either love or are too afraid to leave. It's called the hidden resignation, and it's already found its way into businesses everywhere.
There is a great race to fill the spots of those who have left, and until then, leaders, managers, and of course the people that are still there are the ones that are trying to fix this. It's like an emergency room nonstop.
The study also finds about 60% of couples who both work say they are burned out, with 63% of men and 81% of women exhausted by the demands of work and home.
Where they're both in jobs, and so one of them will have a primary focus and responsibility at home, and that's adding to the stress.
Traditional benefits and raises aren't enough anymore to keep workers from jumping ship. Job experts say employees need to know you care.
We've got to start individualizing the benefits. People want to know that they're seen, which means you know what's going on with me and you're willing to help me. That is a huge strategy going forward to engagement, which will lead to retention.
With the labor shortage not going away anytime soon, labor watchers say companies are going to have to be more versatile and start training for multiple disciplines.
Remember, this is a game, and so it's a competition, and so you've got to attract people. If you attract people and then you retain people, you will win. While there will be a shortage for some companies, you can actually beat the competition. You help an employee not just make a paycheck, but win with that paycheck. Watch out.
Cheryl Casoni, Fox Business.
Actor Bruce Willis has announced he will step aside from acting as he battles a brain illness dubbed aphasia. Matt Finn has more on Willis's diagnosis.
Acclaimed actor Bruce Willis is stepping away from acting after it was revealed Wednesday that he is suffering from a form of dementia known as aphasia. In a statement posted on Willis's Instagram, the 67-year-old's family unveiled his diagnosis, saying the die-hard actor will step away from his career for an undisclosed amount of time. Willis's daughter also took to social media, saying in part, quote, "To Bruce's amazing supporters, as a family, we wanted to share that our beloved Bruce has been experiencing some health issues and has recently been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities." That statement was signed by Willis's wife, Emma Hemming Willis, his ex-wife, Demi Moore, and his 5 children. According to the Mayo Clinic, aphasia is a brain condition that affects speech, writing, and the ability to understand language, both verbal and written. A stroke is the most common cause of aphasia, though a tumor, head injury, or brain infections can also trigger it.
Could be very disruptive for Bruce Willis himself in terms of communicating with others and not being able to find the words to express himself. And it could be very challenging for the people around him.
Willis is coming off a busy last couple of years where he acted in more than a dozen movies. During his thriving career, he's been nominated for 3 Emmy Awards and 4 Golden Globes. The National Aphasia Association estimates 2 million Americans are affected by the illness. Willis's family did not immediately disclose the cause of the actor's condition. In Los Angeles, Matt Finn, Fox News.
We want to leave you with a smile. A therapy dog from Ohio has been crowned this year's Cadbury Bunny. Meet Annie Rose. She's about to become TV famous. The English Doodle is currently filming Cadbury's annual Easter commercial. Cadbury held a nationwide contest searching for this year's brand mascot for Easter, and fans online voted Annie Rose as top bunny. But this pup is already famous at home for her work providing comfort and company at nursing homes in Ohio. As part of her big debut, Annie will also receive a $5,000 cash prize. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.